I met Shelley in Nimbin Town. She was working in a cafe there, which I, pretty much set up as my Earthship office. And Shelley and Bob wanted to build an Earthship. And so, I get a lot of people who come up to me and say, I want to build an Earthship. I'm like, oh yeah, cool, no worries. It usually ends at that. But Shelley said that she wanted to build an Earthship. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And she goes, no, seriously, I want to start next week. And so it was me who was going, oh, whoa, hold on, we got to take this slow. There's a lot of planning and stuff that needs to be done. And so they wanted one really as quickly as possible. And so that is what's brought us here. And I guess Shelley and Bob were brave enough to take on, the first build in Australia, semi-experimental build. And, this is going to be their home.
I'm Bob. This is Shelley too. And this is our little piece of paradise on the Queensland coast. Shelley called me up one day and said, "You want to build an Earthship?" I'm like, okay, let's build that. So
I've seen lots of stuff about Earthships, always loved them, and my dream here is all about permaculture and having a bit of a healing centre space and a learning space. So then we met Duuvy, so it's all just fallen into place. So there wasn't, I hadn't actually sat down and went, there's a spot for an Earthship. It's just all happened, all really fast.
This is where we're doing the building, and it's going to be a 2 modular U-shaped building, a double U if you will. What we did, we orientated the house to true northeast. There's this part of Australia, the winter sun. I had a look to find out where the sun would be rising in the middle of July. And so in the middle of July, in between about 7 and 9 o'clock in the morning, it's roughly 45 degrees east of north. And so that's why we've angled it like that, so we can get the most that we can out of our morning sun before the sun gets to a level that isn't going to enter into the house. And so basically the walls are going to be made out of tires pounded with dirt. Then we're going to have 2 domed roofs. And so, which will look almost like a pair of breasts. And what will happen is we'll, shape the roof from that and have all the water collected from the roof, which will go into a holding tank. From the holding tank, it'll go to the kitchen and to the bathroom. You have your shower, you wash all of the, dirt and grime off your body, and that goes into the grey water botanical cell. And that ends up filtering through this bed here, which will be growing medicinal herbs. And then there'll be a submersible solar pump that will pump the water up to the toilet, which will be around here. And so then you have your septic underneath, through an anaerobic process. The water is then filtered off down the line here to the citrus trees, and that's your closed system.
There's no textbook definition for an Earthship, but if I were to define it, I would say it's the human's best attempt at living in harmony with nature. Earthships not only harvest their own water, they treat their own sewage, grow their own food, regulate their own temperature, and gather their own energy. I don't think there's a more logical kind of home. And if I'm faced with, these are the conclusions that I think any rational, free-thinking person would make if they could step away from it for a minute and really think about it.
I decided that basically my path, my life's mission was to create a space where people can connect on a heart level. Because, as a race, we have gotten really caught in our bodies, really caught in our heads, and haven't connected with our hearts as much as we could have. What we're doing is we're becoming nurturers. We're creating a space of love where people can thrive in this case, as a couple, and also as a community and as human beings. And the reason why I put those questions into the application process, where I was asking, you know, what do you consider love to be and its role in everyday life? What's your idea of community? I wanted to get a crew of people that were quite, I guess, aligned in intention, to put that intention into the build and to create a space of love.
I heard about Earthships probably about a year ago. I watched The Garbage Warrior and I just got really sort of inspired by it. And then maybe about 6 months later I got in touch with Rachel in Melbourne, and I was just sort of like, you know, how can I get involved, what's happening in Australia, and knowing that nothing much was happening just made me sort of want to get more involved with them. And then, you know, obviously signed up to the newsletter and then heard about this build, and I was just like, you know, sign me up. I pretty much, like, I got the information in the morning and then just like was late for work that day. Just like stayed at home, do the whole application and just fired it away.
I was a bit flabbergasted that I was chosen, to be honest. I got the email going, "You've been successful in the application," or whatever it said, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to build an Earthship. This is just awesome, and it's in Queensland. I can take my dog.
I received an email that said, okay, you're applying. Here are the questions. What is love? What is your ideal world? And these are some really deep questions to be asking. If you're just going to build a house, I mean, your basic labourer is not going to be thinking about these things, let alone asked about
Basically, what we're trying to do is kind of similar to when, I guess, you're cooking a lasagna and, you know, you put a lot of love into the lasagna and it, you know, it'll taste amazing. And if you cook it because, like, you're, I didn't mean to point at you when I was about to say this. Neglective, you know, abusive husband is hungry and it ends up tasting like shit. Yeah, so we're not trying to build that kind of house. And so, through, I guess, a combination of a base sort of foundation, I guess that is based on heart space and love and purity and evolution and that sort of thing. We're going to be putting that into the build, and so we end up with a house that ideally will, I guess, be built on a foundation of love, and, you know, and will operate based on that foundation. I guess be as yourself and, you know, as transparent, as awesome as you want to be. No one's here to judge you and that sort of thing, you know. And if you're feeling like, I don't know, if you're feeling shit or whatever, and however you process that, you want to just go off and vent at the goannas or whatever. However it is, when you just feel comfortable, I guess, in being yourself.
let me get my hands dirty. I want to pound some tyres. I want to see this, you know. And I mean, love is the camp. You can see it. If he didn't do his application the way that he did, you know, who knows the dynamic. I'd still be sort of conscious people, but this dynamic is just so great. We don't even need to sort of talk to each other. We don't need to do that bottom level stuff, because we all just sort of know. It's like this like deep understanding between everyone, and it's just so beautiful.
It's like, you know, Bob and Shelley are beautiful people, and they totally appreciate what we're doing here, and that's all that really matters. Is, you know, I'll keep working to get their house done, because what a satisfying thing is that.
Yeah, everyone's drawn together, but it's over a house, but they're drawn together over so many other like common like philosophies on life. It's all coming into like this building in a way.
I think the questionnaire thing that he did to sort of filter out the people for this build worked really well. The vibe, everyone's vibe, and just meeting everyone from different backgrounds and all that, that was really cool.
And I've worked on building sites and there's a lot of crap that goes on around those sites, you know. And here we don't have that, you know. It's completely different. We're all here for the same reason and all have the same sort of input and energy, interest and love toward it, you know.
We're all here to build a house out of love using tires and glass, plastic. And it's got to be one of the best construction sites in the world.
You know, it is creating family, creating unity, and creating a space, you know, of love that we can all. That's a growth that we really need to be focused on, is growth in heart space. It'll be very interesting to see how this build unfolds. Is like, you know, with any communal situation, there'll be, you know, there'll be moments of clarity and beauty, and there'll be moments of confusion and disorientation and that type of thing. And it'll be a really great thing to see us all pull through that as, you know, beings of love. In this build, we're going to be in each other's space. This is a 4-acre block, which a lot of this, you know, land here is scrub and trees and that sort of thing. There's going to be 40 to 50 people here, including the crew, in each other's space for 3 weeks. So, you know, if MTV could if MTV could film something like this, they'll get one hell of a show. But yeah, it is going to bring up a lot of people's things, and there's going to be a lot of self-confrontation as well as a lot of communal confrontation.
Well, I was bombarded with opportunities to grow, actually, right from when I first got here. So as a first-time camper, I had a toilet, I had a shower, I had a 12-man tent, I had a kitchen sink, I had a barbecue table with chairs, I had an awning, I had solar panels, I had a fridge, I had a double bed, full-size bed, I had a mat inside the tent. Yeah, I had everything. I knew I was comfortable, I knew I had to be comfortable to go on to my next challenge of camping for 2-3 weeks, depending on how long it was. And we had rain, and rain's not my best friend when as most people that know me, well, I can't stand the rain when I've got stuff to do and I like staying dry.
Yeah, you come here and you have to start pounding. You don't have to, but you want to. You don't want to be a lazy sod, and so you're pounding. You go to sleep early, and you wake up and your body's like, oh, my body at least, because I'm a soft person.
First few days I arrived and I was really loving just eating really beautiful clean food that we were cooking here. And actually that's something gorgeous to speak to, is the way the food has evolved into this delightful community project every day. But yeah, anyway, so a few days in, my sugar cravings kicked in big time, which to me is symptomatic of something stirring in me that's yeah, to work through. Yeah, absolutely.
Working with your body to build a building, how difficult and how much time that takes, and just the physical experience of it has been really eye-opening, because I didn't consider that. When you just are listening to other people present what they've built, you don't appreciate that.
The physical side of this has been quite laborious and difficult and challenging, in that I'm not used to getting up so early, but even that has turned into a positive. The heat of the day has been quite strenuous. The mosquitoes have been strenuous and painful.
Challenge of wanting to be seen to be busy and contributing in the right way, and finding a balance between how much do I genuinely want to be pounding tires or doing whatever that is, or how much do I actually need to be resting and looking after my body and taking time out.
Mosquitoes definitely were a big challenge.
I have a multiple mosquito defense system. At base level we have a citronella candle, which is protecting my ankles. I have rid containing DEET spread very thickly over my legs up to my knees. I have a towel as a primary barrier and a lighter as my secondary defense. It seems to be reasonably successful, but the onslaught is relentless. I may run out of gas, in which case things are looking pretty grim. I may have to retreat if I make it back to my car. Hopefully they haven't cut me off at the pass. If I don't make it, tell my mum I love her. At 6 in the morning, look what comes up to me. A friendly tire made of rubber tells me, come on dude, come and pound me hard, baby. Ooh, let's build a house out of tires and water. Let's build a house out of bricks and mortar. Build a house out of tires and water. Let's build a house out of sand and bottles. Let's build a house out of drugs and chicha. Let's build a house out of sand and water. Let's build a house out of sand and water. Let's build a house out of tires and water. Alright, so how it's going to work, I'll take you through the water trail. So the water's going to be harvested off the roof. It'll go through drain pipes, not drain pipes, it'll go through the guttering system off to the water tank, which will be over there, be raised up, and it'll be gravity fed down to, we'll have our kitchen set up here, and we'll have our bathroom set up here. And so basically, like, you know, you cook your food, you wash your dishes, the water from that will go down into this grease trap here. So we found this at the tip for $10. I can tell you these usually cost a lot more brand new. But so the grey water from the kitchen sink will filter through here, which will pick up all the solids, and then the grey water from that will run through the botanical cell. And also you have your shower here. You wash everything off and that water will run straight off into the botanical cell. It'll go through here where, you know, which is basically EPDM, gravel, sand and topsoil. And we've covered it up now because we're going to be doing building and we don't want to contaminate with lime and whatnot. And so basically this botanical cell is on a steady decline, 200 mil decline all the way down, so it's about 400, so let's say, you know, 0.4 of a meter up here, and it's about 0.6 of a meter down there, so it's a real steady decline. So we're getting a nice, even, steady flow. And so that will be filled with topsoil, plants, which will oxygenate the water and clean it. And then once it gets to the end, so it travels all the way down here, coming down, growing plants. And so down here, we have the observational tube, which you can sort of open up and look into, see if there's anything that's been caught up or blocked in there and that sort of thing. And also the pump that's going to pump the filtered grey water up to the toilet cistern will be submerged in there in the water. It'll come out of this side bit, pump up to the toilet cistern. So you have your toilet here. Underneath here is going to be a 6.5 foot hole, which will be a septic tank, kind of a, I guess, a renegade septic tank, if you will, which will be lined with EPDM, tires, one on top of the other, surrounded by rocks. And you'll flush a toilet, and through an anaerobic process, the water will leach out the side of the tires, up the rocks, and then down the pipes off to the leach field. And so that's your complete closed water system. So the water's being used 4 times. And so I guess it's an accumulation of 40 years worth of technology and, you know, an experience from Earthship Biotecture. And so yeah, we've adopted that. We've adopted a lot of their technologies for this build. And so that's the water trail. What I feel is so great about Earthships is the symbiotic nature of it. The human interaction within the home is what actually brings it to life. So it operates very similar to the human body, where you have your digestive, nervous, respiratory system. You've got a whole bunch of systems that operate in symbiosis. One can't exist without the other, but you've got the spirit that makes them all come to life, and us as human beings are the spirit of the house that bring all of the other systems to life. Well, first of all, you're living in a place like you're being immersed. You're surrounding yourself with earth. So it's a very grounding space to live inside of an Earthship. It's not like living in a weatherboard home where it's very light and like tinny and that sort of thing. Like you're in a very grounded space, and also within the house it's full of life. It's full of plant life, water life, and that sort of thing. You're reusing water 4 times, but to be living in amongst all this life, like plants are very conscious beings, and they provide a lot of oxygen. So to live in a house that actually provides oxygen is a really beautiful thing. You are totally connected to your house, which is totally connected to universal phenomena. So you're catching water from the sky, which you're washing with, and that water is being filtered through a botanical cell, which you're growing plants that you eat from. And the beauty of that is your DNA is encoded in that grey water, which is growing your food, which is creating fruit that's beneficial to your which is beneficial to your well-being and your health, because that fruit is coated with your DNA, your deficiencies. The fruit knows what you require to survive.
There's a lot of things that I really enjoy about Earthships that doesn't necessarily come from a solely philosophical point of view. I agree with us taking back the capacity to build our own homes into our own hands. It's one of, I think as Mike probably says, that we were building our own homes for thousands of years out of whatever we had at hand, whatever was around us, whether it was timber or clay or mud or stone. And it's only been in the last 100 years, 200 years, Industrial Revolution time, that has been taken out of our hands, and we think we don't have the capacity to build our own shelter. And we leave that to professionals. I like being re-inspired to be able to, because I think I never thought of myself as a particularly physically capable person. I did a lot of study, I'm quite intellectual, I have a lot of, intellectual interests, but I never thought of myself as being capable, physically capable.
I think there's something very fundamental here that, in terms of philosophy. At the very base of the Earthship design is the notion of living in harmony, not trying to use technology to overmaster or control nature, but to use the best of human intellect and reason and technological advancement to kind of satisfy and help nature. Not that nature needs really any help, but help us live in tune with nature.
That what biotecture does, and what this whole Earthship movement does, is that it gets people away from their normal lives and building on a site without having to be trained, without having to be an apprentice. And I don't know of any other model or any other organization that does that can give us all this experience. And that I find amazing.
It's nice to have. Why can't we build small communities where we build our own houses, where we, it's such a nice concept to have a direct connection with the food that you're eating, with the land that it comes from, with the house that you live in, with the nature that surrounds you. Why can't we have this? And I think people have just gone and said, well, we don't need it, we don't want it. I want it personally, and I'm going to make it a big part of my life's purpose, to get that?
Comfort-wise, like, we could talk about temperature for a little bit. These places are built to, make it a consistent temperature all year round. Doesn't matter what climate you're living in, what your rainfall, humidity, doesn't matter what the variables are. These homes can be built to make it a consistent temperature all year round. So it sits at about, I don't know what it is Fahrenheit, I think it's about 70, but in Celsius it's about in between 19 and 21 degrees. You've got your cooling tube, so if it does get a little hot in here or a little stuffy and that sort of thing, you open up the cooling tubes and there'll be convection skylights here. And this is going to be, I guess, our greenhouse atrium area. Open up the greenhouse skylight, which will be the hottest part of the house. All the heat obviously hits the windows first, heat rises, so that is going to be the hottest part of the house right there. And so that's going to really pull that air coming through the skylight and provide a really nice convection airflow through these places. We're burying the cooling tube, and that's going to be buried all the way up to the top of the wall. So we're really going to tap in to that earth temperature. So yeah, it's a fantastic system. It costs a fraction of what any sort of split system air conditioning would cost, and you're not being a burden on the planet. Yeah, this is the first start to finish Earthship build in Australia. Yeah, so it's quite, it's quite a groundbreaking feat. It hasn't been, it's been attempted and completed in places like Haiti and Jamaica and the Andaman Islands and that type of thing, where we've been sort of more tropical kind of climates. But it hasn't been attempted in Australia at all, which is mind-boggling to me because, well, it's not really, it's legislative real constraints that really stop everything. As soon as you want to build something like this, you'll get questions like, what's the R value of dirt? How can you run grey water through a living room? And that sort of thing. And, just stupid bunches of horse shit, which really stop people. So that's why we've kind of bypassed that. So we could go through that and fight all the fire and brimstone and climb the wall and that sort of thing, but instead of doing that, we've kind of gone around it, created utopia, and eventually they will catch up and, enjoy the utopia. Gandhi had a thing that said, be the change that you want to see in the world, and if you make the change, the leaders will follow, and that sort of stuff. And that's what we're doing here. We're making the change.
You want a new chip? But you better work on me. Earthship better work on me. Earthship better work on me. And all day and pounding all night, trying to get me some daylight. Pounding all day and pounding all night, trying to get a thing to hit the skylight. Working on an Earthship. Earthship been working on me. Working on an Earthship. Earthship been working on me. Working on an Earthship, working on me, oh Lord. Working on an Earthship, working on me. I'm just pounding a couple of tires. Working on a heat up day, yeah. Working on a heat up day. Working on the Earthship, working on me now. Working on an Earthship. Earthship better working on me now, working on an Earthship. Earthship better working on me now. Steady as it goes, steady as it goes. Now we're gonna make this thing.
I guess we're transmitting from the new house that we're going to be living in for the next couple of days, because we have a Type 3 cyclone in the general region. So basically we're here and we've got 22 people in a 3-bedroom house. it's you know, got enough beds to sleep 7, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a experience, I guess, that draws us all together. The road to Gladstone, the road to Bundaberg, all of those blocked in, and there's no coming in, no coming out. So where we are now is on an island.
Hi! Here we are in our humble house, all dry and clean and showered, feeling refreshed after our cyclonic weather.
And it's been great. People's spirits are still high. There's, you know, people are still laughing and making food and making music and, you know, touching each other and that sort of thing. And so now we're, you know, physically and esoterically. And so, yeah, so now it is just, you know, pull out the Twister board game, pull out the guitar.
Were here during the storm. What was your experience?
Very windy and very wet. We were up at 2:30 through to 3:30, just sitting there waiting to be blown away.
I felt the tent actually lift up a little bit, so that was pretty scary.
But thought it was take-off time last night for sure.
What happened to our camp kitchen?
The tarp split all the way up the middle. So we just cut the 4 corners down, tied it up, so I stopped flapping and put all the chairs on the ground and laid everything down.
Well, we're back to work after the cyclone, and as you can see, it's quite hard to tell that we've even had any weather come through here, and spirits are still very high, and we've got both of the roofs on, which is really cool. It's you know, it's starting to look like a real house. You know, we've got can walls going on. We've got like tires happening. We've got the earthworks happening in the back there, and everything is all systems go really. And we're getting towards the end of the 3rd week, so it has taken a little longer than we hoped for, I guess, because we had a cyclone. So that put us out something like 5 days, something like that, and it sort of took a good, I guess, 2 or 3 days for everyone to get back into the swing of things once we got back.
We are redoing the bottle bricks because they got flooded in the rain. So let's show them an example like that. It's not what you want.
Yeah, it was underwater. Cyclonic weather conditions.
It wasn't our fault. Just to make it clear.
That's right.
It's what's really kept this thing chugging along like a, you know, locomotive on a time frame is the solidarity of people and, you know, the will to sort of keep going and that sort of thing. And everyone's still having a great time and singing and playing music, and you know, we're we're on our last half of work for the day, then we're going off for Friday Fun Day where there may be a surprise install, but we're waiting to see what that actually is. And yeah, then we've got a talk tonight from a guest speaker, Mary Rodwell, who deals with extraterrestrial phenomena. And yeah, I'm really happy with how things are going. Wait all summer for it to come on, reach the sky, like Princess Sky. Except
Just put some stones in this gourd and I'm shaking them about, and then I shook it about, and now I'm just taking out the guts.
The lid is alive, not dead like Princess Di.
That Duuvy's put a lot of thought into how he wanted it to be the most rewarding experience for everyone, and to have, you know, afternoons at the beach, and to have fun Fridays, and to have all these other gifts, I guess, or aspects that make it more fun and not just a chore.
Creatively, the options are just completely limitless. As long as you're not compromising like those absolute truths, the natural phenomena of the planet, like the sun rises there and sets over there and rain falls and that sort of thing. Beyond that, you can really make these things do whatever it is you want them to do. So what we're doing here is we're experimenting with hemp, and hemp is one of these, these miracle, it's like, the guy on the horse and cart with the miracle bald cure, and that sort of thing. It's, hemp is a really low embodied energetic product where it doesn't require kiln baking, and it's antibacterial, it's anti-mold, it breathes well, it's not subject to rodents and bugs and that sort of thing, and so we're really, I guess, stepping into uncharted territory where hemp hasn't been used in this application ever on the planet, and Earthships, I guess there has never been any Earthships made out of this material, so we really are stepping into uncharted territory. Well, this is the first part of the hemp that we've been using. And basically it's a mixture of hemp fibers, lime-based mortar, and sand. And so what we've done, we've taken it and we've compacted it inside of this steel formwork, and it's quite solid. It still has a good 2 or 3 days to cure, and what we've been doing, we've been laying our bottles in there, so it gives us a nice pretty finish. Very good. So mix some more. Today's pretty much going to be hemp all day, I think.
I've been lugging bags of binder around, some lime around this morning, and just had a little bit of a first aid issue here with, I had a gap between my shirt and my gloves, and so I've got the powder all over my wrists, and coupled that with sweat and some rubbing, and I've ended up with some burns just on my wrists. So it's reacted with my skin, and I have just grabbed some aloe vera from up at the house in the herb garden up there, and I'm just chilling in the shade, putting on the aloe vera.
bomb beam is starting here where the metal starts. It's going all the way around. What are these?
Sorry, I'll get the next one.
Just packing in hempcrete into the bomb beam, and you just pop it in and then you just smash it down. It's really technical. You've got to master the skill. I've apparently mastered it. It's just like this. Are you ready for it? Yep, just bang down nice and light, but hard enough, you know? Just like that, right in the gaps, just right in there like that.
Don't forget when you finger it.
And when you finger it, 2 fingers is often good, and you just get it in like that, and just make sure it's nice and tight. You want it nice and tight in the cracks. So that's basically it. You know, don't try this at home. Come see a professional like myself. Kate, thanks. Yeah. Cheers, guys. Yeah.
Well, we've dug a big ass hole so that Bob and Shelley can shit. So this is going to be lined with pond liner, tyres, rocks, and anaerobic process will take care of the shit.
So, my friend, what is going to happen here is this is going to be a septic tank that is never going to have to be pumped. You see? It's through an anaerobic process. They're never going to have to worry about pumping. There's going to be no burden on local infrastructure. You're not going to have to send off your toilet waste to go and swim with the turtles in the ocean. It's going to be a fully contained system. We're going to have a dome on top. We're going to have a dome on top that the toilet will sit on. And then we're going to have an observational tube here, which is an Earthship first. An observational tube on the dome right next to the toilet. So if anything does happen to happen, we'll have easy access to the toilet, to the septic. So what we got here is they're laying down a strip footing in the front here for our front row of tyres to sit on top of. So there'll be 2 tyres on top of here, and the reason why we're doing this, it's not a standard Earthship practice. The reason why we're doing it is because this is quite a cyclone-prone region. So the thinking behind it is we can put some steel rods through it and attach them to our tyres. So if a big cyclone comes and tries to lift the roof up of the greenhouse, with this solid foundation will keep it from doing so. So relatively low cost for its potential life-saving function of the future. So, you know, I think it probably costs about $700 or something like that. We've also got our footings here in between each of the bathroom and toilet. And we're going to be doing our stained glass bottle archway on top of that. And as you can see, they're a little bit raised off the ground, so that gives us room for drainage and plumbing underneath. Very simple, very basic. As you can see, anyone can do it. Even Dan.
But not me.
No, but Jesse can make sure that Dan can do it with ease. So in this room here, we're going to have our bathroom. We're actually going to be sculpting our bath out of cans, rebar, and either hemp or cement. And we'll have the vanity on this where Dan's standing at the moment, all the way along the wall, leaving a gap for the archway where you can walk in. And yeah, so that's where we're at with that at the moment. We had a bit of a send off for some people who were leaving, and it was a really lovely night. Chris was leaving, and Kate and Faye and Sarah. So yeah, last night we had drinks. We had a lot of them, and I'm wearing. It's probably a reason why I'm wearing my glasses today, because the light is a little bit sensitive really at the moment. We were singing songs and playing music. Shelley made a really nice sangria mix. It seemed to be never ending. And we had tacos. Yeah, it was, one of us had to be carried back to our tents in a wheelbarrow, and it's just good, clean, wholesome fun. It's basically the foundation of the Earthship concept is community, because it's what the basis of what the ideology is based on is moving away from the solitary ego and moving into a place of collective consciousness. So that's natural community, intergalactic community, human community. You look at the way a conventional home is built. Next to how an Earthship is built. So that's an Earthship, by the way. You're going to invite, 30 or 40 of, your old friends and new friends to come and build your house, and at the same time 30 or 40 of those people, like in this situation, are going to learn to be able to build their own place and that sort of thing, and really take life into their own hands, or at least be able to take that first step into moving towards a direction where you can take your sustenance and your habitat into your hands, because that's what it's really about. It's about taking your reliability off infrastructure for your own sustenance, and then you're using the byproducts of society at the same time, tyres, bottles and cans. And so what's happening there is you're getting in touch with that last bit of the cycle, the death cycle, the poo cycle, where you have to get rid of the things you're using. So instead of that mentality of getting rid of the things that you've been using, you're including them into the next stage of the life cycle, which is the birth. There's the sun. See how light that is? And look at that.
They're going to be beautiful.
See, because they're so light blue, you can do blue.
52 is easy to work with.
Isn't it so nice?
On the final day of the Earthship build, we finally made it here. Was the roof, the potato chip roof capping. So we had this big cement truck come. I was about to walk out with my lock the gate sign and tell the guy to get out of here, and he's not fracking here. It looked like one of those kinds of trucks. It was massive. And this guy, had this huge arm that came over and over the entire job, and just, big floppy hose, and was just kind of spraying the coat. It was great. It was great to watch. It felt very, very professional. and Ian got up there with his son Rain and Caroline and Dean and the guy who had the pump, and they did the whole roof just between those guys. Ian doing most of the screeding and troweling and leveling and basically sculpting this thing. It looked like Rembrandt or something. It was great. It looked really beautiful. And then the guy came back with the pump and pumped up. We had these timber formworks that we took off. The guy came and pumped the entire rim. So we hand sculpted these gutters, pretty much, these gutter edges, so the water wouldn't fly off. And so the roof kind of looks like a cross between two alien spaceships that have landed and a fedora.
I was hoping that when we finished it might sort of look like the pretty pictures we got to begin with. And we did our best to keep it online, considering there was no real building type measurements that we're used to in the building world. We became the plans.
Shelley and Bob paid $1,000 for the plans. And the plans were pretty much toilet paper.
Just pretty pictures, they were. Pretty pictures.
So they didn't really tell us how to build anything, they didn't tell us process, there was no reasoning. And so it was a big challenge and big learning curve.
Duuvy kept telling me the tyres could do it, and I had to believe him, and it did.
There was
a lot of trust in it.
Yeah, a lot of trust.
I had to trust Duuvy because Duuvy had been there and Duuvy had done it, and Duuvy said it would work, so I went on blind faith, and I did it.
I guess one of the other challenges that came up was the fact that the hemp that was ordered was not enough. We ordered enough for the footings to be made out of hempcrete, the roof, the bond beam, the exterior roof, like the roof cap, the pack out in here, and the can walls. So that's what we ordered for. And what we ended up getting was enough to do the bond beam and the roof. So it was quite an it was quite a lot less than what we ordered. If the hemp cent and the amount that was calculated to use for this cover area was actually quoted for and supplied to the true amount, I think we may have thought twice about using the product, because it would have turned out really expensive. The good thing is that it has actually worked. It did end up being an expensive option, although there's no transfer of heat. See, it was a really hot day here. It was probably close to about 40 degrees Celsius. It was 38 to 40, one of those really hot days here in Queensland. And we touched the roof and it was really hot. And then we went underneath and we touched the ceiling underneath and it was cold. So there's absolutely no transfer of heat. So you don't have to do things like insulation. And it's strong, it's set really hard. We're going to leave the bracing up there for another 2 or 3 months. Is that hempcrete's got a much longer curing time, which is also another reason to come back and do the finishing workshops. And yeah, I like using the hempcrete, and I'll definitely use it again. So the more and more you sort of delve into this technology, I guess the more you learn, the deeper the rabbit hole, the more treasures you're going to find. So it's just going to be exciting going on those adventures and seeing what we can actually discover, because this is just the beginning. You know, this is really basic stuff where we could really be moving into some exciting territory in the near future with you know, not using any cement content, replacing it with alternatives like pozzolana, or I even found there's a guy in America who's doing mushroom masonry, and which would be fun to play with, which is you know, based on mycelium. And then anyway, there's so many different technologies, and we're only just scraping the surface, as well as systems and whatnot. We're going to be doing all the finishes in the next workshop, so it's that's very exciting, and that'll be happening around June, and you know, we'll let everyone know. It's pretty cool. It's probably one of the, you know, only houses I've ever heard of where the house is built first and the plans are drawn second. And it's working. You know, well, we've got like the building expertise on board, like with Ian and Paul. Between the two of those guys, they've got enough structural knowledge to make shit like that happen.
But we had like 7 architects on board. How amazing! Yeah, so all people really trying to figure out what the answers are, and which I was really blown away by that too. And they probably didn't say they were architects in their applications, did they?
I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah.
I didn't look at
stuff
occupations
like
too much.
that. No. And yeah, so that's been amazing, and they've kept a lot of creative stuff going as well, and a lot of the figuring out that's had to have been done on the way. So they've been pulled in to ask for their opinion on how they would figure things out, and worked with Ian and Bob and Paul in how to build things and what their ideas are, and it's been really amazing for them. I know that they've all really grown a lot just by building something so organic.
You know, progress is never, you know, it's very seldom a straight line. Usually progress is more of a kind of thing, and it's been great, because even through those times of bedlam, we've had real solidarity as a family of, you know, complete strangers, really. You know, 40 people who didn't know each other. You know, we obviously knew each other before, but like, you know, a family of humans that didn't know each other before turning up. And I guess it's, you know, real tangible proof that new paradigm, whatever kind of word you want to use, ideologies actually work. It's like a lot has got done in this time, considering the cyclone and everything like that. But at the same time, everyone has absorbed everything. Everyone's learned a lot. Everyone's learned more about themselves, more about each other, more about living in community, more about living as an extension of nature, being nature, and all these things that we wanted to achieve through this build. Because obviously we wanted to build a house for Bob and Shelley, but at the same time we want to spread understanding, like start planting seeds, like throwing gourd seeds on the ground and letting them take off like wildfire. It's it's really worked. Setting the intention was like, I found was the most important thing, and everyone keeping to that intention is what was really steering the boat.
And Earthships are they are the right direction. That's the best kind of summation I can give. That's all I have.
So it's going to be an exciting journey. I can't wait to see what's next.
And rainbows that I follow to the ocean. I come crashing with the water flowing as they toss me to the shore. Leave me wanting more, my Agnes. Take my lonely wheel, carve the trail that leads to where you are. Oh, Agnes, rainy as I feel, sunny is the day when I come home. You call me while I'm away, your sweet voice giving me sleep through the thunder. I watch flowers rocking back and forth, they falling on the forest floor. Leave me wanting more, my Agnes. Take my lonely wheel, carve a trail that leads to where you are. Oh, Agnes, rainy as I feel, sunny is the day when I come home. Agnes, carve a trail and lead me home. Carve a trail that will lead me home. Mark the trail and lead me home. Carve a trail and lead me home. Mark the trail that will lead me home. Carve a trail